Hey guys, what is going on? Dylan here. So Onslaught just released, and we were able to get all 50 waves completed on Legend difficulty. And so here I wanted to make a guide, as well as all the tips and the tricks that I've learned along the way, so that I can help you guys complete all 50 waves on Legend difficulty as well. So when you first load up Onslaught, you're going to start off with 2,000 scrap and a bunch of enemies that you need to clear out to get your initial ADU starting point. What I want to mention here is the actual scrap economy and what you should be doing with it so that you don't just go wasting it on anything. There's three types of upgrades: tripwire, turret, and decoy, with the cost variance above. For all the initial rounds, I would not spend anything on tripwires, but mainly focus on turrets. I don't think you need the decoys, but if you want to spend money on decoys, that also helps. But I think what we did was we only got turrets in each new area that we went to, and I'll get to that in a minute. Now, second thing, there's going to be these bonus waves. These bonus objectives are very, very helpful. You don't want to die to do these bonus objectives, but you do want to try to complete those. Those are going to be speed waves, which is completing at 90 seconds, capturing the pyramid, collecting 20 relics, and then destroying 3 dark nodes are the 4 that I've seen so far. Completing these bonus objectives is going to get you a ammo crate of dark and or heavy and special ammo. Just completely refills it. So if you do come across one of these bonus waves, do not be afraid to use all of your heavy up as long as you can complete the bonus activity. And then that way you can just restock on all of your special and heavy ammo once that's completed. Secondly, there's going to be these enemies. They're kind of glowing. They're called saboteurs. Once you kill a saboteur, it is going to drop a battery. Putting that battery, you're going to throw that at your ADU to repair it. It's also going to get you scrap. I would strongly recommend doing that, as you just will continue to get scrap from them, which will help boost your economy later. We're basically trying to build up kind of a reserve for waves 40. Now, once you complete wave 5, a portal is going to open up where you can enter the pyramid. So go pick up your remaining batteries, throw them in the ADU to build up your scrap, jump through the portal. And what we're going to be doing is clearing. This is kind of like a trial run, I guess. I don't really know what you want to call it, but we're going to be clearing out these spark hoarders. So you're going to get to this first area. You have to kill the initial spark hoarder there. Once you do that, a door will open up on the left and the right. They go to the same location. Doesn't really matter which one you go through. Once you enter in through the door, there's going to be 3 spark hoarders that you need to kill. Once you kill the 3 spark hoarders, there is going to be a rift that will open up through another door. You will need to take a spark and plant it in said rift. This room isn't terribly difficult, though it does get a little bit more difficult in the later rounds, especially if there's Fallen. There's a boss at the end who has a shield that you can't kill. The Fallen one will freeze the crap out of you, and the Hive one is a little bit easier to manage. He just does more damage, basically. But work with your team. The person who has the spark cannot use their super, so keep that in mind. Maybe someone, like, for example, we figured I should start carrying it because I have a well of radiance. That really wouldn't help us much in this room. Dylan was doing this thing, he was making me invisible, and I would just walk past all the enemies. So that's an interesting strat as well. Then, once you complete wave 9, you will get over to wave 10, which is going to be the boss wave. It's going to be the same thing. A portal will open up. You'll head into the pyramid, but instead of doing the rift and the spark, you will actually be fighting a boss. This is going to be at 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Now, these are going to be different bosses each time. Sometimes it'll be a knight. Sometimes it'll be an ogre. Sometimes it'll be a giant shrieker. Those will change, but the boss at wave 50 will always be the same. This week is going to be an ogre. It's a weekly rotation for that final boss. Now, as far as class composition, Dylan was using a Void Hunter, which came in clutch a ton. It's basically, think of like Grandmaster builds. I was using Well of Radiance with a build that basically gives me infinite wells. That build video is actually going to be coming out on tomorrow. So if you are interested in this build that gets you tons and tons of wells, I will be releasing that tomorrow. Now, in the boss room, what I focused on was just continuously getting my wells. I was going to let Dylan and our random do all the DPS, and I was just going to basically put my well down, start ad clearing, focusing on getting my next well back, which is kind of how the build works. It requires a lot of ad clear in order to get your next well. But there's going to be these separate objectives in these rooms that will either weaken or damage the boss. You don't have to do them. They are optional, but it does help tremendously with doing more damage or taking a large chunk of health away from that boss. Once you complete that wave, you will get your first reward. If you're doing it on Legend, you'll get 2 chests. If you're doing it on regular, you'll get 1. So Legend will get you 2 chests, and then at wave 50, you'll get 3 chests. head through the portal, and you will end up in a new location with new upgrades and new traps, things like that. Again, I would only get turrets. Try to save your scraps, as many as you can, for wave 40 through 50, when shit really hits the fan. After wave 30, I do want to note, after wave 30, so at the start of wave 31, extinguish will be on, which means you will not be able to all die. If you all die, that's it. Game over, kaput, you're done. Back to orbit for you. Now, some of these waves are going to have objectives. For example, this one is spike mines, which means there are zones you have to capture in order to disarm mines. There are tormentors that can spawn. There are demolitionists, which are basically just very strong enemies that can spawn. Sometimes they'll have shields, and you'll have to stand in an area in order to break their shield before you can do damage to them. So just be mindful of these different augments, is what they're called, that you can do, because you have to complete those in order to progress as well. Okay. We are now at wave 40, so hopefully you've been saving your scraps this entire time. You will rotate probably to an area you've already been in before. That's why that turret is already fully upgraded. Now, this is the order I would do this. Upgrade turrets, then upgrade decoys. So you want your turrets at wave 3 or level 3 and your decoys at level 3. Trust me, those decoys are amazing. And then if you have anything left over and remaining, like I'm doing here, upgrade your tripwires. And as you can see here, I let my teammates upgrade the decoys. So we have 2 level 3 or tier 3 decoys and then 1 tier 3 turret. Those decoys get a ton of increased health, and they actually take a lot of the aggro. And then and honestly, do this throughout the entire activity, but especially through wave 40 to 50, it gets pretty hectic, especially if you run into a tormentor wave. Pop your supers. Do not be afraid to pop those supers. This is why I recommend my build, because I get my super back pretty quickly. You can see I popped a super there, so everybody's killing inside of it. I have Phoenix Protocol on, so that's getting me a lot of super energy. Dill popped a tether there. He created a ton of orbs, so I almost have my Well of Radiance back already. And so the idea here is to just chain those, stay alive. Obviously, don't pop your well if there's only a couple enemies left. Just kind of tough that out, because you want to try to pop a well or something at the beginning of it. And also be mindful of those champions. There can be all 3 champions: Overload, Barrier, and Unstoppable. So you just make sure you're mindful of those and you're taking care of those champions and trying to kill everything before they get to the ADU. And then also keep throwing those batteries in as much as possible. All right. Now, you've done all that correctly. We are now wave 50. There is no time limit for this boss. You could take as long as you want. So we're sticking with the game plan here. I'm focusing on ad clearing. I'll throw a little bit of damage in there at the boss when I can, but I'm more so focusing on ad clear because I want to try to get as many Well of Radiances as possible, because I want to try to make sure I keep my team alive. You're not going to melt this boss. You're not. He's pretty beefy. So what I would suggest is, if you're having trouble with this, and this was our first time doing it, so we were playing a little scared as well. Maybe later on we'll realize you can actually melt the boss a lot, but you can see I almost have my Well of Radiance back already, so I kept chaining wells as much as possible while I let Dylan and the other guy do damage. And yeah, just play it really slow. We kind of stayed back at the initial starting area, and eventually you will do enough damage and defeat the boss, and congratulations, you've completed all 50 waves on Legend difficulty. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, if I didn't explain something enough, feel free to ask in the comments. If you guys want to run this with me, I will definitely help people out run this. Join the Discord, send me a message, send me a comment, send me your information, and I will help you all out. That's all I got for you guys. Hopefully this helped you. Let me know if you have any more questions, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.